tremendous tennis player, Edberg. You know, I was looking through his results for the year, and it is really extraordinary how consistent he has been. Remember that he started with the Australian Open. That's his first Grand Slam title. As you look at some of the other statistics on that man, make no mistake, his year has been very, very good. And he's playing against Yannick Noah. You think you'd have to call him probably the most exciting player in tennis. The guy does some extraordinary things. Everybody loves to watch him play. He's a great sportsman. He enjoys the sport. He enjoys the people that he's playing against. You see some of the things about him, ranking at this point #5 in the world.
And, of course, his adopted home now, New York City, where he won the Tournament of Champions at Forest Hills last May. So he'll have a big following here tonight at Madison Square Garden. And we'll be back in a moment. Being set for our first match, Richard Ings, the chair umpire, and you notice the flag, Cliff, on the chair designates the country.
Which means that he's from Australia, since that's an Australian flag. I know you know that.
Well, and Fred Stolle will, you know, verify that, too, as he's sitting right behind the chair. As we'll check out the money here, the qualifying, of course, you get $10,000 just for being here. Each round robin match won $20,000. You win a semi, you get $40,000. You win a final, you get $100,000. You could win, if you go undefeated, $210,000. The total purse, $500,000. And by the way, the Nabisco Grand Prix bonus money is considerable, not just for this, but throughout the year they play for money. And Yvonne Lendl walked away with $800,000 for collecting the most points. As you look at the two gentlemen participating in this opening match, we'll tell you that Edberg, of course, last night, if you're with us, saw him beat Andres Gomez 6-2, 6-3. And as we speculated last night, Gomez did have some ankle problems and slowed him up a little bit. Edberg will serve to start this match.
Solid volleyer, good court coverage.
And his own designer model clothing for Stefan Edberg.
It's terrific, isn't it? You know, it's one of those things you look at it the first time, you say, gee, what kind of a deal is that? But it kind of grows on you after a while.
That's exactly what they said the first time they looked at it, I think. But everybody's got used to it. Coach Pickard and Stefan Edberg really like it now.
But there's an S and an E on there that you guys pointed out last night that stand for Stefan Edberg. So if you like a shirt like that, I guess go into a store and say, can we see that
Edberg
shirt
model
with that SE on it that you saw at the Nabisco Masters?
30 love. Just a bad miss there by Noah, and it's 40 love.
For those of you who want to keep score on CompuTennis and see how well they do, the computer says that Stefan Edberg is going to win this. It was right 3 times last night, so I'll give him 3-0 so far. And Roger, where there's a close call, I'm going to go the opposite way. Tonight I feel comfortable with Yannick Noah. A dangerous call on my part, but I think he may do it.
He's got the world of talent, if he can harness it. Yes. Lovely.
You know, he has everything going against him because you play a first match out there, and it is a very, very difficult assignment. Now, he's playing Edberg, who's already played a match #1, and #2, he's won that match. So Noah knows that it's uphill from here to get into the semifinals because in his group is, as I said in the opening, Yvonne Lendl. He's going to have to beat Edberg and Lendl.
40-30, second serve coming up for Stefan Edberg.
The other man in that group, of course, Gomez.
And Edberg wins the first game in the first set. And we'll be back to Madison Square Garden in New York right after this. Quarterfinals, Edberg was victorious, and then at ball again in Memphis in '85 in the final. So they've met in the finals 3 times in the last 2 years. We're going to tell you a little more about this surface, which is somewhere between a carpet and a rubberized surface. Cliff Drysdale, Fred Stolle have been having some discussions about it.
man who's responsible for the surface is a guy by the name of Bernie Schmidt. He's very well known in tennis circles, delightful guy, and he came up to me and reminds me this. I say it every couple of years that it's a rubberized surface because that's what it looks like. In fact, it's a PVC synthetic surface. They are trying to have this adopted in the Australian Open, so they're going to put a court down there a little quicker, he said, than this one here.
What's the short name for it? Supreme Court?
Supreme Court,
yeah.
right.
And you'll notice there are no doubles lines. This is a singles court. It's a little bit of a different look. And sometimes it's the little things that are the big things in this game.
Well, you're right, and I don't want to beat this thing to death, but the truth is that the first time you're out there, regardless of how long you've had to practice, the first time you play a match in a new arena like this, and of course it's a singular, unique arena, and especially on a court that doesn't have the alleys that most courts have, it just gives you a slightly different perspective on the whole court, and it's difficult to get used to, make no mistake.
15 all.
All of which goes against Yannick Noah.
Lovely backhand there by Edberg.
15-30.
We mentioned at the top that Noah was a winner at Wembley. 5-set victory over Jonas Svensson, and some veteran tennis scribes called it one of the best matches they had ever seen. Standing ovations all around. He is capable of playing some just marvelous tennis. He sees won his last 5 matches. And he aces Edberg right there. But I think at times, Cliff, he's been with that tag. He's got all the talent in the world, but he hasn't utilized it to the fullest.
I suppose his results don't show it. He's been an enormously successful tennis player. You know, you define success in different ways. You've been at the top of the tennis world for a decade like he has. In his mind, that's successful.
But there's always the feeling, especially in France, that he could have done more.
I think that's true. He won the French championships one year. That was the highlight, I think, of his life, tennis life.
I think you've also got to give him a little bit of a break there because of the fact that he has been injured quite a lot throughout his career. He's a great athlete, but he had an Achilles heel problem, Achilles tendon problem, where he had treatment on it and burnt the skin. He was out for weeks. And also a couple of years ago, a bad thigh muscle pull.
30-40, break point.
Yannick Noah is a very gentle, tender, sweet kind of a person. He's different.
Well, one of the things that should be brought up concerning his tennis in France was that the pressure and the notoriety got to the point where he felt he had to leave, and that's why he came to New York City.
Well, that's a very interesting thing, you know. I was astounded to hear it, but he left France because he was so famous that he felt that he couldn't live his own life. That's the reason he gave. And I have no reason to disbelieve it. It is a dramatic move, though, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is. I mean, he was worshipped in that country by so many people.
And still is.
Yes.
You remember the French championships this year? He had to withdraw, of course, in the 4th round over Johan Kriek, or Kriek over him, rather. But up to that point, he was playing great tennis in spite of his injury.
Gutsy performance. Advantage now, Noah. Second game. Double fault. First for Noah, and it's back to deuce.
Early match nerves. This first game is very important for him. If he loses his serve here, that may be all that Edberg will need to win the first set.
Touch there.
Advantage Noah.
Watch this here in the replay. Down the line on this backhand and then the drop volley. Beautifully played by Noah. Clean winner. No way for Edberg to chase that one down.
He's been a very creative player through the years and a spectacular player at times. Who can ever forget that between the leg shot? One of the most famous shots ever seen. in tennis. Advantage Noah. Second game, first set. And just wide. And Yannick Noah evens things up at 1 game apiece.
You know, one of the greatest compliments, or one of the nicest things that can happen to you, is that you enjoy playing the sport. This is a business. There's a lot of pressure on it. We've all heard about that from guys like John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors, Borg, who retired because of it. Well, there is a lot of pressure, make no mistake. But if you can enjoy the pressure, then you're in great shape, and he does. Yes.
Yes, he gets there.
Take a look at this volley here now. This return you see is played low. Now Edberg tries to punch the volley, hits the net. Easy shot here if you get to it. Noah did, and guides it down the line.
Love 15.
That serve, that second serve from Stefan Edberg, I think is going to bother Yannick Noah throughout the evening. It's a very high kicking serve on this synthetic surface, and Noah must just slice that backhand back. He can't get over the top of it.
Interesting, Fred, that Becker was using that big top spin serve yesterday as well, and it worked for him. So apparently this court, in spite of the fact that we say it's bouncing low, it takes the spin on the second serve. By the way, the other thing about that second serve that you were talking about was that Edberg got into the net so close that he had a very easy volley. That's the secret.
Oh, and there's the second serve, as Fred was mentioning. It's 40-15. The other factor we should point out is that Edberg, playing last night, used to the lights. This is a different type of arena. The players have to get used to the lighting configuration, and so this is Noah's first look at it. I think Noah might have felt the previous shot to the baseline was long, and that one was called out. It's 40-30. Oh, lovely return there by Yannick Noah, and they're deuce.
Interesting contrast in serve styles among these 8 guys. Edberg throws the ball up as high or almost as high as Lendl does. Most of the other players keep the ball a lot lower than either one of those two. And Edberg delays with the right arm. He puts the ball up with his left arm, and the right arm trails it. Watch.
Another tremendous return by Yannick Noah, and it's advantage Noah.
Take a look at this here now. This return is serve here from Noah, how he moves into the ball to meet it. You see where he is now. By the time he makes contact, he's about 3 feet inside the baseline, over the ball for a clean winner.
Great point.
Big difference there is that he's coming over the top of the ball, not playing that slice, so Edberg's not getting in as close.
Well, that was a very strong second serve right there by Edberg to get it back to deuce. Cliff, you and Fred didn't get to wear colorful outfits like that. You had to wear the all whites, didn't you?
No, in the early days of WCT, as a matter of fact, we were obliged to wear colors. But they were more the solid colors, the style there that you see Yannick Noah wearing tonight.
And the advantage back to Noah.
Surprises me that nobody ever came to the great Fred Stolle, as good as he used to look on the court, and say they wanted to make a shirt with a big FS on it there somewhere, you know. Break point, second serve.
By the way, if you hear a strange noise emanating off the court tonight, that is the Cyclops. Net. The Cyclops is down there to help the linesman. Service calls.
Deuce.
And it's back to deuce again.
Noah would have liked to have heard the Cyclops on that one.
Yes, he.
Cliff, wasn't that the days of the coloured shirts with WCT, the Handsome 8? Or it got to be known as, what, the Handsome 7 plus Drysdale?
Now, Fred, that's not true, and you know it. It was the Handsome 7 plus Roach, and we all knew that Roach had more success in the handsome department than anybody else.
And advantage to Edberg. Thank you for that comment, by the way, Fred. It's always nice to have some help with this guy up here.
Wonder how many people out there remember who all of the 8 original players of WCT were.
I got a feeling we're going to know before the end of the evening. And Edberg comes back with his first ace. And he avoids the break point on 2 occasions, and he wins the 3rd game of the first set and leads 2-1.
Going to throw the ball up, and it'll be interesting to see how he drags that right arm below. You see how that right arm, his left arm is up and his racket is behind. Now take a look at Yannick Noah. See how the arms go up together, and the ball is thrown a lot lower than is Edberg's. Well, that's the reason that you see that Edberg has to throw the ball up higher, because he drags that right arm a little longer than Noah does. Now, I'm not sure that that says any bad things technically about his serve. It's simply a difference that you may be interested in watching.
And Cliff, Edberg on second serve has won 6 of 8 serve points, 75%. Twice went down break points, so he has been very, very strong on the second serve. And leads 2 games to 1 as the crowd continues to file in here at Madison Square Garden in New York. Glad you could join us. Roger Twibell, Cliff Drysdale, and Fred Stolle. And Edberg can't get to it.
15.
Edberg was very strong this year in the Nabisco Grand Prix events, reaching the semis or better in 15 of 20 Nabisco Grand Prix events in '86. He reached the singles finals in 4 of the last 6 tournaments of the year and won 2 of those. So he had a very strong finish, as did Yannick Noah with that victory at Wembley.
30.
30 love. We will also be able to bring you the speed of the serves of Noah and Edberg throughout the course of this match. Look at that athletic ability right there. We saw it from Becker last night. He's truly an athlete. He could probably be a professional in any sport he concentrated on.
I think that's true. Take a look at it again here. See, this is a very fine volley from. Now, look how close he is to the net. See, this is the thing. Now, when you can get back that high, having started out that close to the net, that means that you can get close to the net in the first place, which is important to the volleys. You know, the guys who don't have that kind of movement can't afford to get that close to the net because they're vulnerable to the lob.
40 love. And Yannick Noah evens things up at 2 games apiece. Fred, observations after the first 4 games of this first set.
Well, I think both players are still trying to get the range on the first serve. As Cliff mentioned, as far as the service comparison of serves, I just think that Stefan Edberg throws himself off balance a little bit when he goes at that. But it's they're still prodding, trying to find some areas that the players or their opponents not too efficient at tonight.
Fred, the interesting thing about Edberg's second serve to me is that he wins a higher percentage behind his second serve than almost anybody in the sport. Meaning that he can afford to miss the first serve and he's still successful behind second, and not many players can say that. You know, most players will be about 75% success rate behind first serve and usually around 50 or less on second serve. Well, he's right up there at 60, 65 behind second serve. And it makes a big difference, believe me.
30 love.
40 love.
I think with that second serve, the way he hits it, he can go for a lot more depth. And if it comes down and gets into the corners, as we see Celia Noah, Yannick Noah's wife.
And they just had a daughter this past April.
First serve.
It's a second let in a row, and Jeremy Shales, one of the MIPTC umpires that travels around, is on the. He's the net court judge this evening.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Well played.
And Stefan Edberg takes a 3-game-to-2 lead in this first set against Yannick Noah. We'll return to New York in just a moment. Rangers and the Knicks, and this week home to the Nabisco Masters. Edberg leading the first set 3-2, and Cliff Noah having a problem with his first serve so far.
So far 29%, but remember he's only served 2 serve games, and as we said last night, I think the point was well made, and that is that you're out there for the first time playing. Their lights are in different positions on the court. You've got to get used to it. They've practiced out, yeah, sure, but they're not quite yet used to the conditions, and Noah has got to get used to them before he's going to up that percentage.
And he's gotten off to a good start in this game to up that percentage. He went through several different periods of injuries during this past year. 5-week period in June to mid-August, and then September to mid-October. And he's played over 30% of his matches this year on the carpet. So maybe of all the players here, he'd have a slight edge in that category.
Listen, I like the way he plays on the surface. I like the way he plays on anything. He's a good clay court player as well.
You know,
one of the reasons he's so good on here, Roger, is that he gets very close to the net on the volleys, and you saw it in that last point.
He is one of those athletes, and we get to see a lot of different sports and such that, you know, I would go and pay to watch, you know, play. He's got a flair, and he does things a little differently. As you said, just like that, a little extra added incentive.
40.
The kind of thing you don't have to do to put it away, but Noah enjoys the sport. Look at that. He's going into the ball, so that swing from about 2 feet into the net going forward makes him hit the ball even harder than he would have if he was planted.
Well, maybe he was a triple jumper at some point in time. Becker showed us a similar move last night. It's 40 love. 6th game, first set from Madison Square Garden. $500,000 Nabisco Masters. And Yannick Noah evens things up at 3 games apiece in this first set. We will be with you again tomorrow night, then Saturday afternoon, and then our semifinal coverage on Sunday night, and the finals, the best of 5, on Monday night. So we've got a great weekend of tennis upcoming.
Love 50.
His first double fault, he'll serve a few, but not that many, because he gets a lot of topspin on that second serve, and that's gives him a good margin for error.
Cliff, in their 4 previous meetings, why has Edberg had the edge? 2 times in 86, 2 times in 85.
Mainly because he takes away the strong points of Noah's. You know, Noah's an aggressive player.
Nicely done by Edberg.
Now, normally Noah's going to be able to call the shots. He's the one who dictates the pace. But when he plays against Edberg, he's not in that position. So you take that away from him. Now you find him playing half defensive tennis when Edberg is playing half offensively when he's serving. And he's not used to that. He likes to call the shots, and he can't. See that?
30 all.
You'd like to be able to do that a lot more. Now, Edberg normally is in a better position to do that to him than he is to Edberg, but that was an outstanding approach there of the second serve. Does 2 things. It wins you the point if you play it well, and secondly, it causes the server to sometimes put a little too much on his own serve to try to counteract it.
30 all, and there's the first time tonight Edberg having a problem with the lights up above and has to regroup. Oh, beautiful drop volley there.
40-30.
It was a half volley drop shot that you can't get a more difficult shot. A little smile from him and shake of the head as you see, as if to say, Yannick, we both know that was a little lucky.
Oh, what a break there. And Edberg takes a 4-3 lead over Yannick Noah. We'll return with more from Madison Square Garden right after this. John Oates. Actually, that could be a fellow that does some work for ESPN, Bob Feller. Striking resemblance there.
Striking resemblance.
One of our producers. As we are in the 8th game now of this first set. When Noah gets his first serve in, Cliff, averaging 95 miles per hour. Edberg's first serve has been clocked at 107.
You know, I think you will find that both players will, before the end of this match, serve a little higher numbers than that.
Well, both players waiting now. Some fans still coming in and not getting situated. And Noah waiting for them to sit down. I think we're just about ready.
Crowd is still sparse, as you see. Last night, second match when Becker played, it filled up. We must have had about 10,000 on set.
Strong return on the second serve.
And presumably after an early dinner, we'll get a more acceptable crowd for the second match when Ivan Lendl takes the court against Andres Gomez.
That forehand return there of Edberg, I believe, to break serve, that's what he's got to do, move forward on that Noah second serve.
First serve.
Noah, 26 years old, will be 27 in May. And as Cliff mentioned, that French Open singles title in 1983. Doubles the French Open in '84 with Lacan. But right now, it's love 30.
Oh, yeah.
And Noah's second ace.
That big right-handed serve, when he's serving to a right hand in the deuce court, he gets it short there with the angle. There's pretty much nothing you can do about it. 106 on that one.
And it's 30 all. Well, as you mentioned, you felt it warm up, and Yannick has been increasing the speed of that serve as the match progressed. By the way, if you're with us last night and the Sparrow flew into the Madison Square Garden Arena, it's still here. Just wanted to let Fred know in case he keep his eyes open. And another ace for Noah. And all of a sudden, we go from love 30 to 40-30 with a couple of aces.
Remember, he was at 95 on the average on speed of serve. I can guarantee you that one there was over 105.
128.
Yeah, 128.
That's Becker power. That's what Becker was bringing him in at last night.
That's every bit as hard as Becker was serving him, as a matter of fact. I don't think we have got one up to 130 yet, but not far.
And so Yannick Noah, down love 30, comes back and evens things up at 4 games apiece.
The gun we're using here, by the way, folks, the same gun that Jansen uses for their nationwide fast serve contest. And I happen to be out in Hawaii enjoying watching the fast servers from all over the country. They go to malls and stuff and have preliminary rounds, and it was fascinating. Those guys whack the thing. You can't believe how hard they hit it.
Ooh, and just wide. Kind of like the long drive contest in golf.
That's exactly what it's like, and I'll tell you that they got up to about, I think, about 135, but not many of them consistent as the players you're watching now. None of them, in fact.
Do they have to be in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big turnaround here from Edberg having an opportunity on Noah's last serve. Noah coming up with some superb serving. Now he's in the hole on this serve, love 30. Let's see what he does.
Long, and so we have triple break point for Yannick Noah.
And that 4 games all a great position for Noah to be in.
He had one other break opportunity in this match.
Well, Fred, you wonder why he would go for a slice return serve there. There was a big topspin serve from Edberg, but it hasn't worked for him. I think he's got to go over that and go for the winner, don't you?
Yes, well, Yannick's returned pretty well off a couple of first serves in this game, so maybe that was the reason.
Well, he threw caution to the winds on that return, and really, honestly, that's what I think he's got to do, because Edberg, if he slices the return, gets simply too close to the net, and it makes for too easy a volley for him. Third chance for Noah.
Remember, Edberg's had a good percentage on second serves at nearly 75%. Strong return there by Yannick Noah, and a good serve by Stefan Edberg. We have our first break of this set, and Noah leads 5 games to 4. Edberg, Yannick Noah have the grip and weight nearly the same. The tension clip nearly the same. Different models, though.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see how they string him at 62 and 64 pounds, both mid-size rackets. And I will tell you that this is the second match that Edberg has ever played with the racket he's using.
Noah is serving for the set here.
Last night's match was the first time he'd ever used that Adidas composite frame that you saw about.
Well, he beat Gomez in straight sets, 6-2, 6-3. And nicely done by Noah.
His coach, Tony Pickard from England, a former Davis Cup player, said that, you know, the tough thing with my guy is that you got to believe in it. You know, you hit a couple of bad shots and inevitably you think about the wreck, but he got through it last night, and so he feels more comfortable with it apparently tonight.
And possibly the lights causing Noah a problem there.
That's a foot fault called on Yannick Noah. At first point, he got in a beautiful deep second serve that forced Edberg to try and slice the backhand. He's getting a bit anxious, serving for the set's a tough situation.
Oh, great return by Stefan Edberg. 15 all.
Yeah, it's a terrific return and serve off the backhand side. He's got a good forehand. I've always felt that his backhand's a little more solid than his forehand, but it is tough to serve him into the forehand side because it's not as easy a shot to pick.
40-15, a miss hit by Edberg.
And Noah that time putting a little spin on the second serve. That serve got up.
Cliff, do you think he wears more jewelry than any other player out there?
An interesting hairstyle.
He's changed it a couple of times over the last 2 years. And 40-15, so Yannick Noah, leading 5 games to 4, has double set point now. Wins the first set, 6 games to 4. And Stefan Edberg, during 1986, had a record of 6-14 in matches in which he lost the first set. So that is not a good sign as far as Edberg is concerned.
I will direct your attention to how many times he's feeling the strings on that racket, my friends. That may be a factor, you know.
Edberg.
Yes.
Oh, great play at the net by Stefan Edberg.
You remember Jimmy Connors' concern about changing his racket. Take a look at this replay first. Good volley here. 2 solid volleys from him. That third not hit like he wanted to, but he'll take it because it turned into a perfect drop volley. But Connors played with that T2000, that Wilson T2000, for so long they don't make it anymore, and he couldn't change. Remember, he tried for about 8 months, didn't work, went back to the T2000.
In other words, he got a lot of them before they stopped making them.
I tell you what happened with him, and I said it at the time when he changed. I said, the guy's so psyched about this racket that when he starts to get a few bad results, he's going to blame the new racket, and I think he's going to go back to the T2000, which is eventually what happened, and he's still using it.
15 all.
He's given the T2000 away again. He's onto a new racket. Edberg having problems with the toss again, but I believe with that philosophy, I think the game's 80% mental. If he worries about it, he's in trouble with Noah here.
Yeah, it's a great volley. What is Connors using now for?
He's signed with Slasengers with the same clothing that he's wearing, and they've made a new racket for him.
.40-15 now. Stefan Edberg, who was broken in the 9th game of that first set, and Noah went on to win that first set 6-4. All 3 matches last night, straight set victories. Sometimes, Cliff, though, it's just a nervous habit players have when they go to the strings on the racket. You think, though, that there might be a bit of a problem for Edberg?
It is often a nervous problem. It's just I'm not sure how often he does that under normal circumstances, Roger. But I do know that if you've got a new weapon out there and you miss a few, you wonder if it may be the racket. And anything that takes your mind off the job at hand is a negative influence on the result of what you're trying to achieve out there.
44. At deuce now. Let's take a look at that last point.
See Edberg come into the net here. Now he's in trouble. That hits the tape. This gives Noah a great opportunity. What does he do? Go cross court, and Edberg is caught wondering where he's going to go.
Well, there was no wonder by Edberg on that particular shot, and advantage to Stefan Edberg in this first game of the second set. Van Lendl coming up next against Andres Gomez in the second match of the night. Oh, what a return say just wide.
First game, second.
And Noah is going to give a good look right down the line.
It's close, but
The chair agrees that it was out, and we'll return in a moment. Forced errors, Edberg with 9, Noah with 4. Winners, 11 and 12. First serve percentage, Edberg 66%, Noah just 38. Aces 3-1, double faults 1-1. But Noah wins that first set 6-4. And CompuTennis statistics, courtesy of Epson America Incorporated, suppliers of equity personal computers and printers. And always a good job done by them to help us bring you those interesting numbers. And sometimes, Cliff, statistics are misleading.
Not often, though, really.
And the lob over the head of Noah after he slipped. First serve points, Edberg 115 and lost 10, 60%. Noah 11, 0, 100%.
It's extraordinary, isn't it, that Noah has not lost a point when he's got his first serve in. Well,
as you speak.
Love 30.
And it's love 30.
Cliff, you may disagree with me here, but do you think that Stefan Edberg, I think of all the players on the tour, when Edberg goes sour and he starts to worry, I think he's tougher on himself than any other player out there. It'll be interesting to see if he can come back in this match.
he gets down on himself. I agree with that.
Well, Fred, you know, the record indicates that when he's lost the first set of a match, he's 6 and 14.
That's when you start to think about the racket, when you miss one that badly.
15-30.
I'll only tell you that his coach, Tony Pickard, was pretty confident about tonight's effort. Well, what else is he going to say to me? But you had the feeling that they felt he was going to win.
You make a good point, Cliff. He is so close to that net. He is just so strong right there, and it's now 30-all. We're at Madison Square Garden in New York, the $500,000 Nabisco Masters, our second night of coverage. I'm Roger Twibell, along with Cliff Drysdale. Fred Stolle is courtside. First set, Yannick Noah defeated Stefan Edberg 6-4. 30-all. Second game, second set, and the fourth ace of the evening for Yannick Noah. That's been a difference in this match, Cliff.
It has. No doubt.
40-30. And Edberg able to reach the ball, and so Edberg, who had Noah at love 30, and now he comes back and evens things up at one game apiece.
Yeah, it's happened a couple of times to him. Now, remember, before Edberg was broken, he also had Noah in trouble, didn't convert there. It seems tonight, anyway, not does it seem, it is in fact tonight, a fact rather, that when Noah has been down, he's come back well on his own serve.
Led on that first serve, Stefan Edberg. As you saw the statistics, 66%. First set. Oh, aced it. That's his second of the match.
Love.
30 love. Just long.
I want to remind everyone just how doggone important this is to both of these fellas. In their group is Gomez maybe they both feel they can beat Gomez, but Ivan Lendl is there as well.
And remember, Edberg won last night. This is Noah's first match. And Edberg now leads 2-1 in the second set. We'll have more of our Masters coverage from New York right after this.